Hello everyone, I'm back with Return to Moria. This is likely my last video on the game as there are new releases today that I'm looking at. I still wanted to share some things that I found useful that will hopefully be helpful for you if you're just starting out, or possibly if you've been playing a while, maybe there's some things that you haven't realized. Either way, don't forget to like and subscribe. Anyways, the first thing I wanted to look at was the game's HUD, the heads-up display, if you will, or just your interface that you see on screen. It's not really explained, and you might not realize what you're looking at initially. So let's see. The green and red icons are with duration are basically the buffs and your debuffs. That's pretty self-explanatory for the most part. One thing you might not know is that if you press Tab, you can look at descriptions of all those buffs and debuffs, which can be pretty useful to know. Next is the semicircular display. It's some sort of light meter. The bottom purple bar is your morale, and while the light meter is pointing towards the light side or the right side, your morale will be steady or increasing. But if it's pointing to the dark side, that means your character's in darkness and your morale is going to start dropping. If and when your morale reaches 0, you're going to start taking damage directly to your health. This damage happens relatively fast. It will kill you relatively fast if you do nothing about it. When it happens, pay attention to your morale bar if you're exploring dark areas. The blue bar shows your armor. The armor icons will go dark when a piece needs repair, and the meter shows you if you have any damage mitigation or absorption left. While you have a blue bar, your character will take blue armor damage from hits rather than red health damage. Next on the HUD is your health and hunger meter. It's pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to really spend time on that. And of course, there's your day count and the time of day, which is also pretty self-explanatory. As far as this icon, it looks like a star. You see the same icon on some of the road markers around the game. I'm not really sure what it means. It seems related to your game progress. No, I don't know exactly what it's measuring. If anyone's figured this one out, let me know in the comments. You can use temporary platforms to avoid shadow spots and to navigate vertical shafts or cliffs in the game. All you have to do is press V to bring up a platform, build interface, and place them slightly elevated off of the ground. If you put them right on the ground or too close to the plane of shadow, if you will still take damage from to have the shadow debuff on you. So it has to be high up enough that you're not stepping on it. Also, the first platform should be connected to the cavern wall. You can't just place these floating in the air. And you can build up to 2 more platforms off of the first one. If you try to build a third platform, it will crumble. You can also use rope ladders to go up or down in these vertical areas. You can combine these with the temporary platforms so you can make these giant catwalks to navigate through areas that otherwise you wouldn't be able to access. This, by the way, is one of my small gripes with the game, is that the interface for placing these temporary platforms and the the rope ladders is basically terrible. It can be pretty difficult to get your platform exactly where you want it. The snapping to other placed platforms for some reason is not very snappy. You can spend a long time fiddling with the position of the platform or the rope ladder. It's probably the most frustrating part of building in the game. I found building structures to be relatively easy. Things kind of go where you want them to for the most part. It wasn't a huge deal. But for some reason, placing things directly on the cavern wall, yeah, that doesn't work so well. It does work, but it takes longer than it should. If they improve this feature, it would make exploring vertical spaces a lot less frustrating, in my opinion. Okay, if you're spending a lot of time looking for secret tunnels, you're probably doing this wrong. I spent hours looking for secrets, and although occasionally I found maybe a mineable spot that led through to the next chamber, it was never an area that couldn't be accessed some other way. Near as I can tell, all the major areas of the game are accessible by digging through dirt with your pickaxe, not through mineable material, so not through rock, basically. If you're looking for the next bit of the story or the next piece of Durin's axe, and you think you've explored everything, you need to look very carefully at your map. You're probably going to see a side passage or a room that has indication that there's another chamber next to it. Sometimes they're above or below the normal ground plane, so if there's a large chamber in that area especially, it's definitely worth taking an additional time to look above or below depending on the waypoint. Okay, this next bit might be a bit obvious to most people, but for me it took me a while to figure it out. If you're wondering how to grow your crops and why it is that your planted crop is not growing, it's likely because of the location. Generally, plants need light, and mushrooms don't need light, so they can grow in darkness. When you're putting down your planter, it will show you an icon of a lit circle when it's in the sun, or light, I guess, and a dark crescent for darkness, depending on the growing conditions of the specific spot that you are currently occupying with your item. Um, For finding these lit spots, you just need to look for pools of light that are created by openings in the ceiling or by those sort of shining crystals that you see on occasion. If you put planters in those areas, you'll be able to grow plants on them. Otherwise, you can only grow mushrooms in the dark spots, which are more common throughout Moria. If you find a good area, you can have a really large farm that includes both dark and light areas. Okay, map travel will consume some of your food bar or your hunger bar. If you travel several times using map stones, you may start starving even if you fed recently, and that's because whenever you travel, it's going to consume some of your bar. If you're starving, no destinations will appear as available on your map zone. So if you ever see that, that's why. When you drink a mug of ale, if you hold down the mouse button, your dwarf will start singing and dancing, right? Well, as soon as he starts dancing, you can let go of the mouse button, and after that you can continue going about your business and doing other things. You will still get the buff when the song ends. Speaking of ale, and brings me to food, and not all prepared food is the same. Most of the food prepared at the hearth will heal you. Some of them also makes your character less tired or gives you energy, in other words. It will get rid of the weary debuff. And a few of them make you feel full or stuffed. And in fact, most of the things that are cooked in the hearth make you full or stuffed for a short time. And once you build other additions to the hearth, like the, I guess it's a grill, you can have food that will make you full for longer. The full buff basically reduces the amount of energy that actions take, so you don't get tired as quickly. If you've been exploring for a while, you probably found ranger pages. Ranger pages, from what I can see, give you access to alchemical solutions, or basically different recipes for beer or ale. If you have a bunch of ranger pages in storage and found that you can't stack some of them, look closely at the description. They typically tell you the area they were found in, and they will only function in that area. I hope you found the video helpful, interesting, or both. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to give me a like and subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you on the next one.